Good morning, everybody. I'm Kevin Reger, and I'm part of the Unity Center volunteer group. We are delighted to have Cheryl Ann McKinnon back here to speak. When was the last time? You did? Yeah, it's been a long time. And Reverend Mary decided to head up to the cabin up north in Minnesota. And I was delighted because now we get to hear Cheryl Ann today. And do you want to just get started? Okay. I will get this turned on for you so you can see what to read.
All right. Wonderful. Well, good morning. So happy to see live bodies here. I've been at home looking on my computer every Sunday morning. I know, right? Isn't this great? It's happy people. Um, so let's begin today by saying our statement of faith together as we center ourselves. This morning, we know that there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotence. In the affirmation for our center, thank you, God, that we have come to this place to release the past, celebrate the present, and embrace the future in love, peace, harmony, and prosperity. And so it is. I don't recall who volunteered to read the daily word this morning. Oh, we have another one. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes down here. So, prayer for racial healing. We are here because we care. We are here because you care. We are here because I care. Let me be the peace and act the peace. Let us move our hearts to the highest and best of us and focus on racial healing for self, others, and the world. In unity, through the name of Christ. Amen. Um, is there anyone here who has any prayer requests today? Thing that we'd like to speak? We just know that all of the prayers that we have in our heart and in our time of connection with our divine God source, that we know that before we've even asked anything in prayer, that it's already been answered. There can be no questions without answers that are already there. And we just know that through our faith and through the power, the Christ power within us, there is peace and there are answers to our prayers. Do we have the daily word next? Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's so nice to see smiling faces again. Today's daily word is inner peace. Peace grows within me as I remain centered in God. Inner peace, the peace of God that my words can only begin to describe, does not depend on outer circumstances. Peace does not come from any external source. It arises from within me. At a place in consciousness sometimes called the center of my being, peace, like all qualities of God, waits for me to recognize and claim it. I claim inner peace when I remember the truth that God's presence is always with me and within me. As I center my awareness in the divine presence within, peace soothes my feelings and restores orders to my thoughts. I move through all circumstances and calm assurance. Peace grows within me as I remain centered in God. Every event of my day contributes to the calm peace of my soul. Those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. Isaiah 26:3.
Good morning, everybody. All right. We're as free as we want to be. 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 Your mind is strong as steel. You think the same thought long enough, and it is real. Our thoughts can raise us up or bring us down. Our thoughts can wrap us tightly until we're bound. But we're as free as we want to be. We're as free as we want to be. We're all as free as we want to be. We're as free as we want to be. Circumstances limit, but we control our mind. We can choose to look for light in everything we find. The world has opportunities right there at our door. So let's remember what we're really living for. And let's be free as we want to be. Let's be free as we want to be. We're as free as we want to be. We're as free as we want to be. So let's be mindful, keep looking on. There's always light to guide us whenever we feel stuck. And when the light is dim and you feel you're at the end, there's always help if you lean upon a friend. For we're as free as we want to be. We're as free as we want to be. We're as free as we want to be. We're free as we want to be. Free as we want to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. We are free as we want to be. We are free today to claim what is ours, the inner peace, the harmony, the love, the prosperity, the health, everything that we need. Several years ago, I was a spiritual leader of another church in another state, and I every Sunday would take the prayer slips home with me, and each morning I would pray for everyone's prayer requests that were there. And it became a powerful blessing for me to be in that position to hear others' challenges, the dis-ease that there was, whether it was health issues or prosperity issues or whatever folks were dealing with, relationship, it all boiled down to dis-ease. And the stories that each of us tell ourselves, the scripts, what is it that comes out of our mouth, and how that does affect us. Today, I want to talk about our inner scripts and how at any moment we can flip those. Have you ever heard that phrase, flip the script? You're watching a movie and you think something's going to happen a certain way, and then there's a surprise there, right? The script was flipped. And we have that ability within us at any moment of any day to change that. Monday and Tuesday, I had the, what's the word I want? I had the privilege and the honor of showing up to jury duty. So I moved here to Wisconsin September 1st. We rolled into town, and here I was already chosen for jury duty. My 10th time being called up for jury duty. I've never sat on a trial still all this time, but it was quite an experience. And one of the I don't, how many people here have served jury duty here in Milwaukee County? All right. Thank you for doing that. And you know how when you're called in, you show up, you're there in time. It's your duty, right? And you're put in a room with 50 of your closest friends. And we were all socially distanced with our masks, and we were provided water. And our names were called out, and we went to a courtroom. Well, I don't know if any of you have served recently. There was one very large room where they did I can't remember the Latin phrase, but basically the jury selection in this room. And then the people who were chosen, those lucky 13, 14, went to a different room, a different court. But we were all spread out, and there was a big list of everything that every person there, all 30, 35, 40 of us, had to get up and answer the questions. Well, I was called into that room 3 times. I'm here, so I didn't end up on a jury, thank goodness. But it was interesting because I think the first time I was number 28 out of 30, and I listened to everybody's responses, and I had to think, how am I going to respond to these questions? What's your name? Okay, that's an easy one. Are you married? And I thought that was kind of interesting. What's your occupation? What's your spouse's or significant other's occupation? Do you have any children? If so, how old are they? Where do you live? And then one judge made it even more specific. What are the major intersections near your home? I thought, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. Have you served on a jury before? And if so, did you reach a verdict? And then the last one was, what are your hobbies? And I just thought that last one really didn't fit in with the others. But I thought, okay, how would I answer? Obviously, I know my name, but my occupation. I've done so many things. Which thing will I choose to say about myself? And my husband, he's also a creative. Like, how do you choose just one thing? What is my script? So I got up, and I didn't know what was going to come out until it actually came out. It was no big deal, but I chose, rather than a spiritual leader, a youth minister, a dog trainer, I found myself going back to an occupation I had 20 years ago. It was sort of interesting. And I sat there and I thought about that. Like, why did I choose that of all things? It was when I was still working in the corporate world. And it was 19 years ago that I left. Is that how I defined myself? What's my script? A few weeks before that, I had the unfortunate opportunity to be at my mother's graveside funeral. And having grown up in Unity, I've been to mostly Unity ceremonies where it's more of a celebration of life, and not many caskets in Unity funerals for whatever reason. And this was a more traditional service. And there's, like many families, there's a little bit of dysfunction. I'm sure all of your families are completely normal. I was lucky enough, fortunate enough to be born into a family that has a little bit of dysfunction in it. And that showed up, right, leading up to the funeral. And so I was the only one of us 4 siblings of anyone to speak. And it made me kind of sad that my siblings and my father um, chose not to. But I pulled something together. I had been writing. My mom passed in January. She wasn't buried until April. And in those months, I did a lot of journaling. And at the very beginning, it was really bothering me because the memories that were coming up were less than positive. I didn't know why. My mom wasn't a horrible person at all. But what was coming up were there was a lot of pain. And I wrote about that. And I thought, okay, I need to get through this. I needed to flip my script. And I thought, okay, we chose the day for my mom's memorial to be her birthday. She would have been 91 on April 28th. And I had a list. I wrote everything of my fond memories of my mommy when I was a little girl. And I just wrote them down. It wasn't any prose. It wasn't any beautiful speech. It was just, these were my memories. And I wrote it to my mother as her birthday gift, as if it was a card. Mommy, thank you. I was able to flip what was in my mind. I could choose whether I wanted to stay with some painful memories of early childhood or whether I wanted to move beyond that and realize that this amazing woman brought me into this world, gave me life, loved me, introduced me to unity, was there for me. Was she the person I wanted her to be? This person that maybe there is no human who can live up to that potential? No, she wasn't. She was still having a human experience. The spiritual being that she was, that we all are, was still in human form. She was still expressing herself the best she could. My husband, Tim, and I were talking about a year ago because I actually spoke for your church. It was from California, but it was on Memorial Day last year. And I don't know if you remember, but last year, Memorial Day weekend was very turbulent for our nation. There were protests in the name of Floyd. I'm forgetting his first name. George Floyd, thank you. And there was our little town of La Mesa, California. There were just like here, but there were riots, and our sweet little downtown was destroyed and set on fire. And it was hard to watch. And I remember processing that and looking at, oh my goodness, that was a year ago. And I thought the year before that, how my life was so different. So what changed the year before last Memorial Day to a year ago? And what changed between then and now? My husband and I really flipped the script. Back then, we were living in La Mesa, California, knowing that we wanted to move, thinking about getting our house ready to sell. We were engaged, but not yet married. And so we said, let's get married. And so we were in the process of planning our wedding in the middle of COVID, where the largest party you could get gathering was 10 people. I don't know if you remember those days. And I look at how many we have now, probably 20 in this room. Yay. So we got married in the mountains, 120 miles from our house where we lived, in the middle of a coronavirus. Everything that came for that wedding was ordered online, either Amazon or some other online resource that brought it to our door. I made my own wildflower bouquet. We pulled this thing together in a month. Then, as soon as we got back, we got the house ready to sell. It sold the same day we listed it. We had 30 days to pack up and be out. And so we put everything in crates and we moved 2/3 of the way across the country to this, our chosen home, and we love it here. But we had no place to land. We had no home. Mary and Mark took us in for several weeks until we found a place to rent. My mother passed away. There were a lot of changes. And right now my body is going through some physical ailments. On the outside, I might look perfectly normal and healthy to everybody. Um, but I have an autoimmune disease that puts my body in some pretty major pain. I don't want to be in pain like this. So what do I have but my thoughts and my mind to turn to, and the knowledge that no matter what, there is a higher being. We choose to call this being God, that we are all one with, and that came from our original source, where we all came from. The Taoists call it the great void, the darkness, the all that is, the all not consuming, the all anything that we want to make manifest comes out of this void. And before God, before we can name God, there is this void. Before the Big Bang Theory, there was something that went bang, right? That is what we tune into through prayer and through our meditation time, through our practice every day. And it's from that source that we have the power to flip our script, to reverse the usual way that we do things, or to reverse our typical thought process. Flipping the script also is doing something unexpected or revolutionary. Doing something unexpected or revolutionary. So Tim and I, we packed up, we moved cross country with 3 dogs in a little tiny SUV. During COVID, it's pretty crazy. A lot of people thought we were crazy. We're not. We love it here. And even in the middle of what my body is going on, we're sitting in our cute little rental house looking out at this mini forest in our front yard with the birds and the squirrels and the bunnies. It's wonderful. We could have been still sitting in La Mesa, California, because it's easy, but we chose to do something completely different. There are 3 steps, I believe, to creating this flip of our script. The first one is the radical acceptance. Radical acceptance, accepting things for the way that they are, not the way that they appear to be, but the way that they are, the truth behind the truth. Does that make sense? That there is an underlying current. It comes from that void, that dark place. I don't mean dark as in evil. I mean that place that hasn't yet been named. We accept radically that things are the way that they seem, but that doesn't make them the way that they are. Through this process of accepting things radically just the way they are, flipping the way that we view them, that we see them, there are different ways. If something happened, let me give you an example. About a month ago, I'm sitting, going through paperwork, cleaning out our garage, and Tim set a chair up for me, and the sun was coming in just right, and we had our dogs tied up, and Sarah is our older dog, and she was on a leash, but the leash wasn't tethered. And we have a very long driveway. And I heard this woman yelling, and I didn't know what she was yelling at. And then I realized she's yelling at me. And my dog got upset, Sarah, and she started taking off after her. And I was wearing these glasses. Well, these are for reading. And I don't know if you just have readers, but have you ever tried to walk with readers on? You can't see 5 feet in front of you, right? So I'm running after Sarah, and I miss a tree root, and I stumble. The next thing I know, I was eating dirt. I literally did a face plant. And this woman is continuing to scream, and I'm trying to get Sarah. And I don't know what her problem was. Mistaken identity. She kept talking about these dogs and how they always got loose and how we didn't pick up our stuff after the dogs. And it wasn't us. She was clearly talking about somebody else, but she thought it was me. And I didn't know what to do. And so I grabbed Sarah and I was just standing there as she went on and was throwing a lot of naughty words at me that my mom would have washed out my mouth with soap. I didn't know what to do. Tim came out and he just kept telling her, well, that's not true. What you're accusing us of. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. And I just stood there. And there was a part of me that thought, okay, how do I counteract this woman who clearly wasn't acting her highest and best self? And there's a little, maybe a little mischief part of me, but I decided I was going to be a Southern preacher. I was going to bless her in the highest part of her. And I said, I'm going to cast out your demons. I don't believe in demons, but come on, that's what it was. And so I was thinking to her, it's like, I cast out your demons and I see you as a full and whole being of the Christ. And, and she kept screaming at me. And I said, I love you. And I see the Christ in you. And that made her madder and madder and madder. And she just threw some more and just continued down the road. And I thought, oh my goodness. So I went inside and I thought, what just happened? And I started getting emotional. I actually started to cry because I was taking on her energy. And it took a lot for me to center myself enough to send her blessings and to send her on her way. But the good little metaphysical student that I am, I thought, okay, what is the message in this? You know how that is? Things show up in our lives. What is the message here for me? Do I take her power and her energy on, or do I flip that around? She was having a bad day. She took it out on a complete stranger. I've never seen her before. I haven't seen her since. But she was convinced that there was something about me that she, in her mind, knew was the truth, but it wasn't the truth about me. I could have turned that around. I had the choice to, or not turned it around. I could have gone with her energy and fought back and told her she was crazy and, all of this. I didn't. I didn't know what to do at the time, but I turned to the Christ self within me. I didn't know why that was happening at the time. And later I realized it was, there was a family member. When somebody dies in a family, sometimes it brings out not necessarily the best in all folks, but I realized that incident with that lady prepared me for my mother's funeral and some unpleasant interactions that happened there. Last Sunday, I don't know, does anybody here follow golf at all? If you watched the PGA tournament last week, and one of my favorite players is, his name's Phil Mickelson, and he is 50 years old. He'll be 51 in a couple of weeks. 10 years ago, people thought Phil was washed up. He had some health concerns. He didn't know what was going on. It was at the end, I think he was playing in Pebble Beach and he had just major pain. And he thought it was because he worked out too hard and he was 40 years old. Well, it turns out he was diagnosed with a type of arthritis similar to what I have. I have rheumatoid arthritis. He has, I can't think of what it's called, but it's psoriatic arthritis. Thank you. And his joints hurt a lot. His ligaments hurt a lot when he flares. There are times it goes into remission, but people thought he was finished with golf. And Phil, instead of taking that diagnosis, decided just to look at the symptoms. And he learned that if he were to lose weight, to start eating better, to exercise differently than the way that he had, and the biggest thing that he contributes to his healing and ultimately his winning the PGA tournament last Sunday was meditation, his meditation time. He was at the 18th hole last week, and something happened where the fans broke past the security guards around him and his fellow player, Bruce Koepka. And so here they're walking to the 18th hole, and these fans are just like right up. They're touching them. All I could think of was Jesus entering on the Palm Sunday. Everybody, all the throngs of people around him, they wanted to touch him. They wanted to be with this master. Phil Mickelson, in this case, was the master. And it was a little scary to watch at some point because you don't know if he's going to get hurt. And my goodness, he's on the very last hole. So he said, I had an experience on 18 on the hole that I've never had in the game of golf, being engulfed by fans walking up to 18. And although it was a bit unnerving for a moment, it was awesome and something I'll cherish. He had help from his meditation techniques, he said. He's learned to extend his focus and shut out the outside influences, something he said he's worked on after a disappointing tournament a few weeks ago. He also had his brother, Tim, as his caddy. So he was able to stay in the moment and concentrate on each shot appropriately because he meditated. He did his practice on his own for the last several years to help heal his body, but it also helped with his game of golf. He said, I was able to quiet my mind and not see all the chaos that was going on around me, but be able to see only what I wanted to. And I think that was the biggest thing for me throughout the week. So he overcame his physical ailments. He flipped his script and definitely turned that around. He had radical acceptance. He had to accept the fact that his body wasn't what it was before his diagnosis or before the pain started. And he had the choice of whether to remain miserable and to quit and to say, this is enough, or do I do something different? Do I get into the problem solving? Do I accept the reality and do what I can to change this or alleviate the situation? It involves changing your feelings from the inside out. What am I feeling about this? Seeing where you are in the moment and realizing that those seemingly negative feelings may not be that bad. Write them down. What is really going on here? And then flip that script. Yes, I am feeling pain in this moment, but the pain doesn't define who I am. Yes, the outside appearances may seem like I don't have much in the way of green substance in my wallet, but I know the truth that God is my source and that this too will change. Yes, I know that sometimes we get into difficult exchanges with our loved ones. That doesn't mean that's the truth of who we are, that we still can have an underlying love with that person, or we can choose to remain miserable in that moment. So we have radical acceptance, number one. The second part of this is true forgiveness. So forgiveness of others and forgiveness of ourselves. When we step back and we choose to look at things differently, that requires us to know that nothing is as it seems and that everything can be forgiven. So the steps of true forgiven. First off, acknowledge the hurt. Yes, there was hurt. There was something going on. It happened. Consider how the hurt and the pain has affected either another person or ourselves, acknowledging our own pain. Part of the radical acceptance is part of forgiveness as well, accepting that I cannot change the past. I can only change my perception and my memories of the past, but the past happened the way that the past happened. I determine whether or not I will forgive. I determine whether or not I will forgive. That point came up as I was sitting in jury duty, looking at these individuals who were on trial and not having heard any evidence yet. It was difficult because we're human. We want to judge someone else. I don't know what the what the evidence was going to show. But there was one case where I probably would have had to have excused us. We were all excused. There weren't enough people to serve on the jury. Because what this individual was being accused of had happened to a very good friend of mine. And I don't know if I would have been fair at forgiving someone if they had hurt me in that way. So for deciding whether or not you will forgive, you don't have to. You can take this with you forever. It's your choice. We're given free choice. Number 5, to repair the relationship. You know what to do. Is that willing? Are you willing to repair the relationship? True forgiveness. Number 6, to learn from my mistake. We all make mistakes. We are, again, spiritual beings having a human experience. Part of that, we're going to make mistakes. Not intentionally, hopefully, but mistakes will be made. Will I learn from them? And finally, now I don't know, since Reverend Mary is from Hawaii, if she has done the forgiveness prayer with you before, or the forgiveness work, the Ho Oponopono Prayer. Does that sound familiar? This is something I encourage everyone to do. My Hawaiian friends say their family, they do this every night before bed. And it goes like this. There are 4 steps. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So to think of someone who has wronged you, to think of something maybe that you yourself have done to someone else, let's start there. Close your eyes if you would. I invite you to close your eyes, and you're going to think of something that you believe may have hurt someone else. And I invite you to forgive yourself. To yourself, say silently, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And now, with your eyes still closed, have an incident come to your mind where there's another person that perhaps needs your forgiveness. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Envision yourself embracing that person. Envision yourself embracing yourself. And open your eyes. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So accepting radically what's happening in our world, practicing steps of true forgiveness, ongoing, moment by moment by moment by moment. And finally, rewrite your script. How would you answer the questions? Who are you? Not just your name, but who are you? What do you do? Not just to keep busy, but what do you do? Who you be? What relationship are you in? What's your relationship with others, with yourself, with your creator, with the divine, with God? What do you have children? Children being our thoughts. What thoughts are we putting out there? Where do you live? Where do you live in your mind? Where do you dwell? Not physically in your house, but where in your mind do you dwell? Have you served on a jury before? Have you judged others without knowing all the facts?
Were you able to try to walk a mile in their shoes, try to see things from their perspective? And what are your hobbies? If somebody was to ask you, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Are you answering those because that's what you thought you should do? What you thought you should answer, what other people want you to do? Or is this really who you are, what you want to do? So it seems like a simple task, right? It can be. It can be very simple, or it can be very hard. So when I'm home and sometimes feeling pain in my body and knowing that the pain isn't who I am, it's just pain, and separating myself from that pain and knowing that who I am is a perfect child of God. And God mind created each of us. It's in us, it's through us, it's who we are. And that comes from our source. And we have within us at every moment the option, the opportunity to tune in to that source, to radically accept things are the way they are, and that we have the right to change them at any moment, to forgive ourselves and others, and to constantly rewrite our script. Again, back to Phil Mickelson, this guy who people said he was washed up. He was 50 years old. So that's really old. He had a terrible disease that he shouldn't be able to play golf again. And what did he do last week? He pushed through the crowds. The 18th hole, with all this commotion around him, was ready to focus, saw what he needed to do because of his practice of meditation. And so that's where I invite you today, is to be willing to flip your script at any moment and know that you are divinely in tune with your source. And let's take this into prayer. I invite you to close your eyes, to find that inner place within you, your silence, your place of peace and renewal. Focus on your breath. As you inhale, fill your lungs completely. And as you exhale, slow down and still your thoughts. Inhale the light of God, and exhale everything that no longer serves you. God is peace in the midst of me, a peace deeper than thought or feeling. In this silence, I experience peace. I am renewed in spirit, in silent prayer. I am a radiating center of light and understanding. God is the light in the center of me. My mind is one with divine mind. With every breath, my mind seeks and finds spiritual understanding. The light of understanding guides my way. Thoughts become productive, and the way ahead becomes clear in the light of spirit, in the silence. I am an expression of infinite life. I breathe the breath of spirit. I breathe the breath of life. Every breath supports and strengthens me renews and refreshes me. I am one with the Spirit of life, infinite and eternal. Breath by breath, I heal. I live. In the silence, I claim life. I live in a world of plenty, and I have a consciousness of abundance. Breathing deeply in awareness of God within and all around me, I settle into a conscious moment of appreciation. All that I could ever need may be found here, in divine mind, brimming with divine ideas. Overflowing with gratitude, I open my mind, open my heart, and pray. I hold the world in a vision of harmony and peace. I am one with the world around me. Every man is my brother, every woman my sister. We are one in God. In a state of oneness, I imagine holding hands, embracing arms, walking together on earth. I hold this image in love with the world as I pray. In spiritual realization, we complete this time of prayer. Gratefully, we trust the truth of divine peace, understanding, life, and abundance in which all our desires are fulfilled. All that God is available to us in every breath. In gratitude, we close with the Aramaic prayer of Jesus. This is translated from the Aramaic by a Sufi master. O birther of the cosmos, focus your light within us. Make it useful. Create your reign of unity now. Your one desire then acts with ours. As in all light, so in all forms. Grant us what we need each day in bread and insight. Loose the cords of mistakes binding us. As we release the strands we hold of others' guilt, don't let surface things delude us, but free us from what holds us back. From you is born all ruling will, the power and the life to do, the song that beautifies all. From age to age it renews. I affirm this with my whole being. And now, together, let's repeat quietly the unity version of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
So Cheryl asked me to take over from here. So now is the time that we would like to take up an offering. We'll have someone come around with a basket so you don't have to pass it from hand to hand. But for those of you at home, if you feel drawn to do so, we would really appreciate any contributions to help our center continue to grow. And you can send those by the mail or via our website or via PayPal. So we would appreciate that. And do you want to move to the affirmation? Oh, did we go past it already? Oh, there we go. Okay, say this with me. Hold your offering in your hand. There is no lack or limitation. Freely I give and freely I receive from God's abundance. I am blessed as I give, and unity is blessed in receiving. Okay, now I have another song. When the sun is covered by a cloud and it never rises anyhow, and you think it's time to just throw in the towel, when your world is going downhill fast, 'cause nothing good ever seems to last, and you wonder, what's the use in trying now? Wait a minute, think a better thought. This world can look a whole lot better than that dreary one you bought. So think a better thought. While our attitudes can shape our view and emotions get tied in there too, till we think we see reality, but we don't. So look for light with all your mind, for what you seek is what you'll find. But if you're thinking that can't work, well then it won't. So wait a minute, think a better thought. This world can look a whole lot better than that dreary one you bought. So think a better thought. We have to understand what we think changes the world we see. You can have two people in the same darn house, live in different realities. Don't I know it? So heart and soul, compassion and love changes our reality. To find a world that's welcoming to everyone we see. Think a better thought. Just wait a minute. Think a better thought. You think it doesn't hurt to judge or wallow? Well, sorry you've been caught. So think a better thought. So catch yourself when you're feeling down and recognize you've got a frown. Change your focus, we have that ability. At first it might seem a little forced, but it gets easier, of course, when we count our blessings and focus on the good we see. So wait a minute, think a better thought. Think it doesn't hurt to rationalize? Well, sorry you've been caught. So think a better thought. Think a better thought.
Perfect.
Okay, I would like to make our announcements today. And the first one is a reminder that we post a midweek meditation on our Facebook page and our web page every week. So please invest a little time in your spiritual practice. We have different leaders every week. They're usually posted on Wednesday, and they're up there for a while. So please feel free to come and visit. And if you don't have time to visit our website, please try to take a minute every day at noon and meditate for the abundance of our center and for peace in our world. And if you do, you'll be joining Unity meditators all over the world. So that would be great. The minister's book study continues on via Zoom. We're doing the book Cast, The Origins of Our Discontent by Isabel Wilkerson. It's a very intense book, but it's very fulfilling to read and discuss with others. So if you have any interest at all, please contact the center and we will get you a Zoom invite. Immediately following our book discussion every Thursday, we have Unity Prayer, and that is from about 11 to 11:15. Again, it's part of the same Zoom call, but please call the office at 414-475-0105 if you'd like to be invited into the prayer service. And every Sunday here at the center, Joanne Bauman is leading us in A Course in Miracles. It starts about 11:45 and runs for an hour. A Course in Miracles uses miracle-minded thinking to focus on the principles of universal love and forgiveness. And Joanne is an experienced teacher, and they have great discussion. So one other thing, this is our 100th year in being here in Milwaukee, and we're going to be celebrating that in October. So if you would like to use the red envelopes that say Love in Action to help contribute to a special celebration this year, please make a separate contribution than your regular contribution and help us get some funds together for having a little party and some special things around the center for the month of October. And if you're looking for something new, Ann Wondra is looking to start up 2 new groups, a writing group and a women's coaching circle. So you can contact Ann at 262-544-4310. Dr. Vijay returns the last week in July. This will be a weekend of teaching, which begins with the Saturday supper and continues with teaching and music following the Sunday service. And that is all pending the anticipated opening of the Canada-US border, which we think will happen by July 1st. But if it doesn't, we will just reschedule. So right now it is scheduled for the last weekend in July. And that's it for announcements, unless does anyone else have anything that they would like to bring up? Okay, please join me in saying the alternate verse from Stillgood for America the Beautiful, a prayer for our country. O beautiful, compassionate shores, where hopes, dreams and hope are born, where kindness and civility can weather any storm. America, America, God heal this great divide. Let fear release, rekindle peace, till all our hearts unite, you and me, from sea to shining sea. Do you have the music ready? Okay, please let's stand and join me in Let There Be Peace on Earth. protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and so it is. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a blessed week and a mindful week. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.